the issue with plant medicine today, and now breathwork and all these other people that are carrying medicine, which so many are doing it properly, but the people who are not educated in the space of integration and preparation and setting and creating a safe container. And it's creating a lot of trauma.
All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Doc Jacque Show. So today I have somebody who's kind of a mentor in my mind. We just started getting connected as of last year in 2021 through all the chaos that was here. We moved out to Arizona, and then very soon after I got in contact with Ben. So Ben, I mean, he calls himself a little bit of everything. We'll call him the Jedi for today just because, I mean, everything that he does is just so profound and impactful and just blows your mind. He does anything from breath work, plant medicines, sound healer. I mean, healer of anything across the board. He does transformational retreats, pretty much from what my understanding, kind of all over, whether it's in the U.S. or outside of there. But yeah, so welcome to the show, Ben. I really appreciate you taking the time jumping on with me today. I'm excited to dive in.
Yeah, brother. Thank you so much for having me, man. It's an honor to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. So I wanted to start off today just by kind of introducing you, but also letting you have a chance to say, you know, what got you into all this? Because this isn't your typical thing where you like grow up one day and you say, hey, I want to be like a healer. You know, it's not something you don't wake up. Not everybody wakes up out of the womb and they're like, hey, I want to heal today. Like, let's do this. So what got you into this, man?
Man, yeah. So the title of healer, it's such an interesting one for me because it's something that I never expected to be, like you said. Like I never expected to, and I'll say if you're a healer, right, or if you're considered a healer, then what you're doing is creating containers for people to heal themselves. I think that's a really important note to put in there. And that's what I do, and that's a big part of my dharma, a big part of my purpose is to create these containers. And a lot of the time it's the feminine, my female facilitators and my team that go in and do the really powerful and potent healing. So a quick backstory of my life, and this is going to be cool because this is the first time I'm really introducing pre awakening, right? So we're going to go all the way back to when I was 12 years old.
Yeah.
When I was 12 years old, I was an athlete. So I was an athlete in elementary school, junior high, and high school. And my mom's ex-husband, I should say, owned a gym. And so we had lived in a small town. And so everybody went to this gym. And this gym also had professional athletes, professional football players from the Saints, soccer players, basketball players, you name it. So this gym was pretty notorious. It was definitely the staple lighthouse gym in central Louisiana, which is where I'm from. And I grew up, right, going to this gym. And, perks of being the son of the ex-wife of this gentleman, of the gym owner, was that, I was held to a certain expectation. And so fitness and working out and exercise was a big part of my life early on. And so when I was 12, I was actually training with the 16, 17 year olds, and they were kicking my ass, and I was getting my ass kicked every day. And it was great because it taught me a lot about discipline. It taught me a lot about, bullying's not good, plain and simple. But sometimes whenever you're bullied, it creates a certain strength within your heart that ultimately ends up serving you. Right. And so that's what I experienced early on. And this led to me playing a bunch of different sports in high school, doing bodybuilding, powerlifting, soccer, football. And then it eventually led to me doing mixed martial arts and learning martial arts. And so that's when everything kind of took a brand new, or just had a brand new light to it, because I went from, playing team sports to playing a solo sport, but being on a team. And the conditioning that I experienced, the physical conditioning that I experienced during mixed martial arts was unreal. It was like unlike anything I had experienced before. Football practice is gnarly in Louisiana. We got 110 degrees. You're doing up and downs. You're playing full pads. It sucks. But the conditioning for mixed martial arts was a whole different ball game, and it taught me how to really be in my body. And so this was a brand new, a whole new paradigm for me because I didn't know how to really be in my body before. Sports are great for teaching you how to do for a certain few things
Right,
with the
right.
body, but the mixed martial arts really brought me into like, this is my body. My body is a weapon now, and I know how to fucking use it, plain and
Yeah.
simple. And so my senior year of high school, I went to school from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. And then I would go train from right around 12 p.m. to 8 o'clock at night. So I trained every day religiously, and I had a few cage fights and won a lot and did really well there. And this really sparked my, I should say, this integrated and cemented my love for fitness, for health and wellness overall, because I was eating super clean. I mean, I wrote out my diet exactly what it was. I ate that same thing every day. I was making sure I got plenty of sleep, and none of this was leaning toward any spiritual practice, any type of like embodiment. I was just doing that without really knowing anything about it. And so this led me to continuing this practice throughout college. And so during college, I was doing Tough Mudders, Spartan races. I was doing a lot of different fitness challenges, some high intensity interval training challenges, and I was a beast, man. I was in the gym every day, and I was doing really well. And from there, that was a great foundation for me because with the fitness industry and a healthy, when it's healthy, you're automatically led into different healthy practices, different wellness practices, different practices that are going to help you to optimize. And I was obsessed with this optimization. And this led me to getting into a multi-level marketing company that their products were all about optimization. It was brown seaweed product that was like incredible for you. And I would drink a lot of this stuff because I was an ambassador, I guess you would call it. And so I was selling it. And so you had to buy like a shitload of it every month if you were selling it. And so
Yeah.
I smelled like a vitamin, dude. Like I drank so much of this stuff, and I would be doing crazy workouts, like just insane workouts and not getting fatigued at all. So I was just in ridiculous shape. And through this multi-level marketing company, if anybody's ever been in a multi-level marketing company, then they know with it comes this whole universe of self-development, right? Which to many is bullshit, the self-development world, and to many is really helpful and conducive to their growth, which it was
Mhm.
for me. I feel like it has its place, just like anything else, right
Sure.
place, right time. Even pharmaceuticals have their place every now and then, and we'll get into that. So I got more and more into this multi-level marketing company, and this led me to get into manifestation. And so this is whenever things first became spiritual. When I read The Secret, I watched The Secret. I was like, man, I
Love
want
it.
to
Love that
manifest.
stuff.
Right, right. I want to manifest the life of my dreams. And so I read all the books. I was watching Jim Rohn and Earl Nightingale and the old school guys and Tony Robbins and Bob Proctor. And at one point in this multi-level marketing company, if you sell enough of this product, then they give you a BMW. Basically, they don't give you a BMW. They say we'll give you an extra $600 a month for you to go get a BMW, and you got to put stickers on it, basically. And so the company was called Limu, and so it was a Beamer, so I called it my Lemur. And I eventually backstory on how I manifested this car. I
Mhm.
remember specifically sitting down every day, multiple times per day, and focusing intently on visualizing the exact car that I wanted, the exact BMW that I wanted. So, in a nutshell, and backstory really quickly, I came from very little. I came from a central place in central Louisiana. We didn't have much money. Nobody had BMWs. Nobody had Mercedes. Nobody had luxury cars by any means. Most
Yeah.
people are in jail or addicted to crystal meth. And so, for me to have this BMW was a huge statement to myself. And so I remember visualizing this car over and over and over and over again. And eventually I got to the point to where I actually sold enough to go get the car. So my dad even had to co-sign this car for me. So 21 at the time, and I go to the dealership. There was only one black BMW in all of Lafayette, Louisiana, where I went to college. And I turned the corner, and the exact car, BMW 328i, it's black with beige interior. The exact car that I had been visualizing was the car that was available. And the company gave me $600 a month for the car. And with the note and insurance, it was $610 a month. And so that's when I was just totally sold on manifestation and that this was an actual thing and that we are conscious creators of our reality. Fast forward a little bit, right? Through college, I got rid of the car. I went down this, I started serving at restaurants. The MLM fell out from under me. I got kind of caught up in a shadow time, right? A little dark night of the soul. And I remember I got offered a potential opportunity. So it was on the table basically. And once I graduated college, I was going to be able to get this good job, right? So this job offer was on the table, and it was a job offering that I would make more money than I would have ever made before. I tried to do entrepreneurial stuff all through college. I didn't make any money, hardly ever. There wasn't much money going around at the time where I lived. And so I remember going in the float tanks before float tanks were even cool. I would go in a float tank. My buddy had one in his garage, and he would have people come in and I think I trained him in mixed martial arts, and he exchanged that for the float tank sessions. And I'd go sit in the float tank and I would visualize myself shaking hands, cutting deals with people as a business development manager for this startup. And I remember just visualizing it, visualizing it, visualizing it. Next thing I know, boom, I got the job. And so from there, I'm like, yes, manifestation is so real. I'm about to manifest all this money. So I continued forward and grinded, man. I put my head down for a year. I cut off basically all my social life. It was just all about focusing on creating income. And I remember as a salesperson, I was the fourth salesperson on the team. I broke all the records. I broke operations a few times, and I made a bunch of money. And within 11 months, I was like, okay, I thought that money, the thing with where I'm from is if you make a lot of money, that is the highest echelon of success. That's what success meant if you made a lot of money. And I'm not
Sure.
talking about a lot of money. 100 grand a year, you were crushing it. Everybody wanted to be you. I mean,
Mhm.
and so I was like, okay, well, dang. So right here is my opportunity to go to the highest echelon of success and fulfillment in life. Oh my God. So I put my head down, I grinded. And within a year, I realized, man, I made $100,000 and I'm not happy. I'm not fulfilled. So what gives? And so I kept going forward. Well, maybe if I work for myself and make some money, I can do that. So I started selling coconuts. Long story short, we imported coconuts from Mexico up to Chattanooga, Tennessee. We built a little company out of it, a project. It's pretty hilarious. And we did pretty well. But the coconuts got heavy and I was still unfulfilled. I was like, all right, coconuts go bad. They get heavy. I got to figure something else out. So I had this beautiful opportunity. Fast forward, I manifestation once again. I'm like, give me something that allows me to travel. I know that traveling, freedom of time, financial freedom didn't do it for me. Freedom of time will do it for me in space. So I'll be able to travel and have time to myself and have free time. I'll have it all at that point. There's nothing more I can possibly have. And so I got a link from my sensei, from one of my mentors, and it was to write for this outdoor company. So I sent him this like bullshit application, like, yeah, I like to camp a lot, and I wrote an ebook once, and they're like, sure, it sounds good. So I immediately hired two writers on Fiverr and started applying for all of their other websites that they had to write
Yeah.
for them. And so eventually we were writing like 300,000 words a month between the two writers and I, and I was getting paid 5 cents a word. And then, the currency exchange with them, they were living in India and Nigeria. So I did the math, and 1.5 cents per word for them was the same thing as 5 cents per word here. And so the arbitrage, it worked out beautifully. I had free time. I had basically totally passive income. I was doing well as I was doing with my job. And I remember being in Costa Rica with my ex girlfriend, a beautiful girl, and on the beach, but just made a bunch of money online, had total freedom. And she served me a big plate of food, delicious food. And I realized, like, dude, I'm still not happy. Like, what gives, bro? I've literally achieved everything. And this led me to saying, like, okay, I'm gonna go drink ayahuasca. I've been wanting to do it for a couple of years, and so I'm gonna go drink ayahuasca. Maybe that'll help. At this point, I'm like, what else can I possibly do? Let's just do it all. So I go and I drink ayahuasca and have this beautiful experience, this amazing experience down in Costa Rica. And I didn't integrate the experience at all. Integration wasn't even like a part of the retreat. It wasn't even
Sure,
mentioned.
sure.
And so I didn't integrate it, but it had really opened up my eyes to the medicine world. And I had started, naturally when that happens, you start connecting with other people that are working with different medicine facilitators and different retreats and stuff like that. And eventually, so after I went and drank ayahuasca, I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to move to Colombia for 3 months and start a film company because why not? I had nothing else to do.
Right.
And I was like, maybe being creative, going to Colombia will bring me that fulfillment and that happiness, which it was great in Colombia. I really enjoyed myself, but I was still stressed out. I was stressed to bits and I didn't really, I wasn't finding fulfillment, but I also created a company and hired some people and we had some cool stuff going on. It was awesome, but wasn't fulfilled. And so I came back to the United States for a wedding and my buddy was getting married. And so I stayed for the wedding. And then I felt just some reason intuitively called to stay in the US. And I didn't know why. And so I stayed and I realized that, sorry, back it up a little bit. My buddy told me to that I should go up to New York and do Bufo with Dr. John. And I'm like, well, what's Bufo? Who's Dr. John? Sounds great. So I bought a ticket for that weekend and went up to New York and filmed a little bit around New York. And for like 4 days, I was in New York before I went and did Bufo. And it was so funny because by the fourth day, I was like totally New York. I was like Manhattan. I was like, fuck you too, buddy. Like when somebody's like, hey, man, get out of the road. And it had really gotten me because I was changing from hostel to hostel. Like I was stressed out. It's just New York does that to you. And so I got a quick meditation in the back of the cab on the way to this ceremony. And I get to the guy's apartment and he opens the door and he's all in white and red and he's got these beads and he's this white shaman and facilitator, and he just looks like my big brother. And I'm like, dude, what's up?
Yeah.
Who are you? What's going on in here? This is awesome. And so I go in and I sit with him and this 25-year-old dude named Sergio from Colombia. I was like, bro, I'm 25. I just got back from Colombia. What a coincidence. And so I end up sitting with the medicine, and it was one of the most profound experiences. It was the most profound experience I had ever had at the time. And my theory was, okay, if my consciousness can go that far out and then come back in to my body, then anything's possible. And so that's what I felt like I took away from it until 5 days later when I had actually gone and properly integrated this experience. Again, there was no mention of integration at this time. When I properly integrated this experience, I was in Austin and I was sitting on a dock at Lake Austin and my feet in the water. And my bandana, I was using it to cover my eyes as I meditated. Not really knowing what I was doing at the time with meditation, but just sitting there, just soaking up the sun. It was a beautiful day in September. I'm sorry, it was in February, so it was cool but nice and warm in Texas.
Mm.
And immediately I felt this instant like shock go through my whole body, like this electric pulsation. And just woke up from my meditation like, whoa, what was that? And I pulled up my bandana and all I could see was like the geometry that made up the water, the earth, the sky. I had this really weird supersonic hearing thing going on. I had really strange, like 360-degree vision. And I felt this incredible bliss in my body. And I remember I sat on that dock for like 10 hours in total stillness. And all I had was a feather and a banana. And I was the feather, I was the banana. I had conversations with Jesus, Buddha, Krishna. I can't make this up. Like a lot of people were like, what? No way. And I mean, for me, even myself, I've never experienced anything like this since then.
Yeah.
But that experience changed my life. And I grew up in an extremely toxic Christian environment because of Central
Yeah.
Louisiana shenanigans. Many of us did, right? It's not just in Central Louisiana where that happens. And I remember connecting with Jesus and just looking at him like, man, you are so misunderstood. Like you're so misunderstood, bro. And he's like, yeah, welcome to the club, man. Like now you can't go back from here, bro. Like now you know
Yeah.
what's up, and now it's your time to go share this. And I'm like, wait, what? Like go share this? What do you mean go share this? Like what is even going on right now? And I realized about 24 hours after that that I had had this really profound awakening experience, that I had this cosmic baptism, that I experienced what's called samadhi or near kappa, full kappa samadhi, which is just a complete union with the divine, right? Complete union with the self. And I attribute it to the medicine created so much spaciousness from my in my body that I was able to receive that download. Because one, it's not just the spaciousness of the spirit, but one, I had financial freedom, I had freedom of time, I had freedom of location, and then I had freedom in my soul. I was deconditioned and defragged by the medicine. And so, boom, instantly, spirit came in hot, and I had this cosmic baptism. And for an entire month after that, dude, I was literally like, is this not the most beautiful, divine, sacred creation ever? Like everything, this
Yeah.
stuff, like the mug, literally anything, you, me, everything was the most beautiful and sacred creation. And I was egoless. I remember I don't want to be considered anything. I don't want to be anything. Just call me me, like I am. That's it. And it was biblical, man. It really was. And so I decided that it would be best for me to go back to New York and learn how to work with the medicine that I received.
Mhm.
And I ended up becoming John Edgar's first apprentice, who he's notorious now around the United States for serving Bufo various. And I was his first apprentice with my brother Jason. And I watched people from New York in Manhattan come into his apartment and totally riddled with anxiety and depression, just like so riddled that they can't even open their arms to hug you and
Mhm.
say hello. They can't even speak. And I watched them go from that to a normal person having a normal conversation within an hour's time and leave. And so for me, I thought that this was the most incredible discovery ever, ever, and
Yeah.
that everyone needed to know about this. Everyone needed to experience this. This was it. This was the chosen. This was the discovery that was going to change everything. Right.
Yeah. Sure.
Right. And so I traveled with my mentor for a while in Mexico and his mentor in South America and just around, giving the medicine to people, being a prophet, basically, being a missionary of love, plain and simple, and indoctrination into one's own unique truth. And from there, I learned a lot about what the shamanic and medicine community was missing, what it was lacking. And so I decided to go ahead and take like a pilgrimage of sorts to East Asia and India and Nepal to study meditation, sound healing, breath work in order to create a container for the medicine to sit within. And this has led to us facilitating these retreats, some with medicine, some without. But I think we've had like 16 5-day long retreats in Sedona in the past 2 years. And it's been amazing. That started in March 2020, whenever I got back. So we're just coming up on 2 years now, and we've had so many retreats, and it's been incredible, man. I mean, everything that's taken place since I got back is so synchronistic with everything that I learned right before. It was like, okay, here's your awakening, here's your tools. All right, get to fucking work, man. Like it's time to get to work, bro, because shit's about to hit the fan. The apocalypse is about to go down. So here we go. And the unveiling, which what the apocalypse means, the unveiling went down, it happened, and here we are. And so now my job is to lead people into their truth, and my job is to help people to optimize themselves in body, mind, and spirit, not just with plant medicine, but with other modalities as well, in order for them to reach that place that of sovereignty, of freedom, and not be subjected to this mass hypnosis that it seems like a lot of the society is under. But our job is to facilitate growth and understanding and connection with one's divine self, and not with the narrative. So yeah, that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah, in a nutshell, right? And I wrote down a note as you were speaking where it's like, and I say this all the time is, all these things that happen to us, or we think it happened to us. We think, why did this happen to me? And, why did you have the upbringing that you did? But realistically, if you think about it, if you didn't have the upbringing that you did, you probably wouldn't be where you are right now.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I always say it's not why did it happen to you? Why did it happen for you?
Yep.
You might not know that in the moment, but 10 weeks, 10 months, 10 years from now, you might look back and be like, oh my gosh, I can't. That one thing that happened when I was 12, now look at where I am. And it wouldn't have happened if I didn't have that catalyst,
Yep.
you know?
Absolutely. And I remember thinking like, man, why was I born in Louisiana? This place sucks. Like, why was I born in California and had a fucking G Wagon and be a surfer and have a rich
Sure.
family? Like, why did
Yeah.
this happen to me? And dude, I mean, my story is one from the streets to the skies, truly. Like, I remember I lived in rural central Louisiana, Meth Headville, right? And then my parents got divorced. My mom moved with me to the ghetto of Alexandria, Louisiana, which is Ghettoville. I mean, it just was. And now looking back, I mean, I went from that to I've traveled the world. I've been to so many different places. I host spiritual transformation retreats in Sedona. I've reached that echelon, that highest peak of experience in my life. I've reached that. And so and I knew that I reached that after I was beginning to serve the medicine and to connect to the story that I just told. My fulfillment in life came from being in service,
Mhm.
came from serving others. I thought it had to do with serving me and raising myself up, right? Because that was the narrative where I'm from.
Mhm.
But it came from the satisfaction that I felt in my heart and soul whenever I was able to help someone else and they said, "Thank you so much." That is what, and I know this is the same thing for you. It's why you're a doctor.
Exactly. Yep.
But that is what brought me that sensation of fulfillment, of purpose. So yeah, yeah. So it's definitely, and now I appreciate, I've seen the whole polarity of life. I've seen, dude, people would break into our house to eat the gag gifts. My mom calls them gag gifts, where people would give us like possum brains in a can for as a joke. People would break into our
Yeah.
house and eat that shit, dude. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
And then from that to like, being in Sedona, or I lived in Rishikesh, India, Abu Bali, Adelan, Guatemala. I've been in the most spiritual hubs on earth and met the coolest people on earth. And I came from that. And
Yeah.
for me, it's a story of inspiration. Anybody can do that, man.
Mhm.
Anyone can do that. And it comes down to like working hard, but also listening to your heart and your intuition and following your truth and seeking fulfillment in your truth and not settling for the narrative.
Yeah. And this is it's actually, and I just thought about it as you were talking, I get a message, my computer shoots up a message real quick, and I see our realtor send a message like, "Hey, just send over the documents, whatever." And so like Megan and I, we haven't externally spoke about this. We haven't told anybody else about this, but like we this house that we're currently in that we're renting, we manifested. We knew exactly how many bedrooms we wanted. We knew the size, we knew the look, we knew the everything. And we wanted to be around awesome neighbors. We got exactly that in like a month's time. Then these guys were like, "Hey, we want to sell the house because the market's great in Arizona. So you're gonna have to find another place to live." We're like, "Oh shoot, this is like 2 days before Thanksgiving." We're like, "Well, what do we want?" So we were back and forth. Megan and I couldn't agree on what overall layout we wanted, but then we realized what we needed, like what would serve us the best for the kids and location, everything. We wanted a mountain view. We wanted, a certain amount of bedrooms, certain amount of bath. We wanted like just everything. And Megan did an awesome breathwork session too, where I told you I still want to introduce you to Ksenia. She's awesome as well. I think you guys really hit it off. But she had a connection with an ancestor that basically was like, would you get the hell out of the city and go back to like earth, like get grounded, get outdoors, get back into nature? And like our property that we manifested, this house, is surrounded by like 4 different mountains. There's walking trails everywhere. There's a community park, like everything with dirt, everything. It's just right there. So the whole way through this, we were like, all right, we know what we got. And then all of a sudden we found this house. We're like, oh, cool. This is a good location for us. But like, let's do it. We went through the loan process and we weren't expecting to purchase this year. So our loan officer told us, I think like 3 or 4 times, like, you're not going to get it. You're not going to get the house. You're not going to get the loan. Sorry, not going to do it. And we're like, no. Like this house is ours. Like we already know that it's ours. We just have to figure out what man has to do to give us what is already ours. Like this has already been promised to us. This is ours. So we fought and trusted, which was really more of an internal fight more than anything else. Like, who is man to get in the way of what I am called to have? And not from like a selfish, superficial standpoint, but we just closed today. We just got the papers. That's what my realtor just basically said is like, hey, the house is yours. You don't have to worry about it. Loan approval, all good. Sign the papers, did final walkthrough yesterday. So like, the power of manifestation, it's kind of like a creepy, in my opinion, it could be creepier, a little bit eerie at first to know that like your thoughts are as powerful as they truly are.
Yeah.
And then once you get a taste of that, you're like, what else can I do? What else can I bring towards me? Because you turn into a magnet of creation. Whatever you want, you can bring to you. And it's just as easy as that. And you'll go through struggles as you're trying to manifest some of these things. And some people who are a little bit more enlightened like you compared to me, I struggle because I sit more with my ego. And even when, we did Bufo, and I was like, okay, I'm trying to kill this dang ego. I just want to sit with this, and I want this stupid ego to die. And so like we did this Bufo session. And for those of you who don't know, Bufo alvarius is a toad. You like breathe this in through like a specific technique, and it was an amazing experience with these guys. And I lay back, and then the whole time I'm like, I'm screwing this up. I bastardize this. I like, oh my gosh, I can't let my mind go. Like, this is so awful. And then I remember getting up, and Ben goes, welcome back from your journey. And I'm like, thanks. I'm like, I think I screwed it up though. I'm like, what was that, like 20 minutes? And he was like, was it like an hour or something like that I was under? And I'm like,
Yep.
what? And I transcended time. And then like the experience of it was like the battle of my conscious and subconscious. And then afterwards was when you and Kendall pulled out what like truly happened. I just remember bawling my eyes out because I was like, oh my gosh. It was like, I got the vision that voice and like a head that was saying that you can't kill me. And I'm like, what the heck is going on?
Yeah.
And it was such a powerful like experience. What was weird is like when I'm used to serving other people, I'm not used to people serving me. And it was awesome. And then immediately, as soon as I like got in the car and went to go facilitate in that little like glass dome thing that I got for the night, I'm like, I know my buddy Berta needs this. I know this person needs this. I immediately was like, I know so many other people that need to experience this. So I immediately went into like how can I get this information to other people?
Right.
And then we ended up kind of getting on a podcast together, which works perfectly. So that way we can
yeah.
get that. But yeah, so we talked about the Bufo, and then the other thing that we do, and I've still got the scars from it, I've Kambo. So
Kambo.
Tell me a little bit about Kambo. We talked about it before we jumped on this podcast, but tell me about the Kambo side of things.
Yeah. So Kambo is indigenously called, and so it's presumed as the vaccine of the forest, which I love that terminology, right?
Especially nowadays, right?
Because Kambo is the vaccine that's not gonna fuck up your DNA. It's not gonna give you adverse side effects for most people. It's extremely safe. It's in fact the most medically studied and most sound and safe earth medicine that is available. And venom of there's a lot of animals that their venom is very beneficial for our health. People even being using rattlesnake venom and all kinds of different snake venoms for like cancer and Lyme's disease and all kinds of stuff. And so both Bufo alvarius and Kambo, one's a toad, one's a frog, one's a giant green monkey frog, one's the Colorado River toad. They're both huge frogs, a huge frog and a huge toad. And they're both, the medicine from both of them comes from the venom that's used against predatory animals.
Sure.
And so with the Kambo is full of peptides. And these peptides, the body really resonates with all of these peptides. And how you administer the Kambo is you burn 2 layers of the skin and just enough to get into the bloodstream. And then you wet the venom and you put it on the burns. Before that, you drink around 1.5 liters to 2 liters of water. And so that fills up your belly with water. And so the water is kind of like a medium for the Kambo to work. And the Kambo acts as like a plunger, if you will. But all of the cells, once this medicine goes into the bloodstream, all of your cells open up and kind of wrap around these peptides. Like they're just like, ooh, look, Kambo peptides. Come here, come on in. And whenever they do that, funny enough, good medicine is often bitter medicine. Let me just say that, right? Good medicine usually does not taste good. And so with the Kambo, right, the Kambo, what you experience is your blood pressure drops, you start to feel nauseous, you start to get cold sweats, and so you start to feel pretty sick. But what's happening is a detoxification in the whole body. So whether you're sweating, the water is designed to purge. So you're purging the water out. And with that comes all kinds of, if you have a fungal infection, a lot of people say it doesn't work for parasites, but I believe it works for parasites. Sure. It helps with thyroid issues, even Parkinson's. It helps with even cardiac issues. It helps with so much fungal infections, parasitic infections, even like herpes virus, so much, right? It protects you an incredible amount against the common cold, stuff like corona, the flu, all that stuff. And so it's this really powerful detoxification process that boosts your immune system an incredible amount. And indigenously, what it's said to do primarily is to reduce and to discharge what's called panema or Panama. And the panema is said to be disharmony within the system, right? Disharmony within the body, mind, spirit complex. So if we're feeling confusion, dissonance, feeling depressed, feeling anxious, whether we're living in the future or the past, you name it, this can help to remove that cloud, that kind of like rain cloud that's comically over like a cartoon's head. That's the panema. And it can help to reduce that. Which is pretty incredible. And the only thing that I can say that how it does that is through building emotional resilience, right? And so whenever we intentionally enter into discomfort in order to grow, that oftentimes brings us into the ability to manage our emotional states and our state of being. So if we're experiencing anxiety or depression, then we're able to say, okay, well, where's this anxiety or depression coming from? Really, let me just take a look at this. Really, and the combo is amazing for that. But first and foremost, right now with COVID, combo is more precious than it's ever been. I find because
All right. So so for those of you who were tuning in there, as soon as Ben brought up COVID, I think twice it shut down Zoom, which is suspicious. But
not
so
at
you
all,
said it's yeah, yeah, not to us.
not
So
even
you're saying,
close.
especially nowadays with that may not which cannot be
Right,
mentioned.
the one who shall but not be named, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Since Voldemort, we combo is really a precious tool at this time. When one person got sick at Grace Grove, then all the brothers got together and we did a combo session. Nobody got sick after that, this contagious virus.
Sure, sure.
um and then also many different medicine ceremonies that I'm affiliated with. We had teepees and a few people got sick at the teepee, which is a peyote circle. And all of people that did combo didn't get sick. Everybody else
Okay.
got sick. So just time after time after time. And I do this like every couple of weeks. I sit with it pretty often. And for me, it's just taught me this emotional resiliency. It's taught me how to embrace discomfort and how to really sit with discomfort and to embrace the medicine. And it's beautiful. I mean, it's helped me so much. And I combine that with healthy food, plenty of water, yoga, breathwork, meditation, neurofeedback, qigong, other plant medicines. I do a lot of this stuff in order to like fully optimize myself. And
Yeah.
it's beautiful, man. It's a beautiful medicine, and it's one that's really safe, believe it or not. And
Yeah.
so I'm a huge advocate for it for sure.
Well, I remember when so that was the first time we got hooked up was to do combo. And I didn't even know what the heck Bufo was. I didn't even really know what combo was, but one of my friends was like, "Hey, you need to reach out to Ben. We'll get this situated." I remember we were talking. I think you were in Target or something like that.
Yeah.
You're checking out in the checkout line, and you're like, "Yeah, I'll be in Sedona, or I'm in Sedona. Let's do it. Let's do it." I'm like, "All right." So I remember going up there, and like my backstory is like I used to have a horrible gut, like horrible, and I would have like a glass stomach where like anything that I would eat, if I'd eat meats too late at night, like I'd throw up at 3 o'clock in the morning. And so like I was on for my own like functional medicine journey. Like I've been like, I feel like Seinfeld. I've been vomit free for like a year or so at this point. I'm like, awesome, this is perfect. And then I'm like, now I'm gonna go and pay somebody
It's a
or
bomb.
donate money to somebody to make me vomit. And I'm like, what's wrong with me? I'm like, this is the dumbest thing I think I've ever heard. I'm like, and then I'm going to get burned. So I'm going to have marks. I'm like, this is just like, what? I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I feel called to do it. So I'm going to do it. So yeah, I went up to Grace Grove and met you out there, and I was super excited because I got to go like a little bit off-roading to get it's like 2.5 miles of off-roading to get to Grace Grove. And yeah, we met, and it was like, like the instant connection where it was like we were already friends, we already knew each other kind of thing, whether it was like spirits in the past, whatever it was. And you're like, all right, let's do this. So we got a couple of the guys, we went down to the riverside and we sat with it. And I remember I had five gateways open up. You had 3 on at the time, and it became overwhelming to me because I run my body pure, and so you were able to take some off. And I just remember, my purge experience. I'm like, oh my God, like that was so horrible. But then like once you get it out,
Yep.
it's like you get this sense of stillness where I remember looking across the river at the time, because it was like the water was rushing red with the red rock, but like the trees, the green of the trees was like beautiful, and like I could hear everything. I was getting stuff out my nose, purging. It felt like I lost weight just in this purge, not like the water weight, but like I felt lighter.
For
And I
sure.
was like, what in the world is going on? And I remember you telling me that, they would do this in like tribal communities. They'll do this before they go hunting. They'll take a little bit of combo to heighten their vision and their sight and their hearing. And I could completely understand why.
Their intuition for the hunt to
Yeah,
connect with the animals. Yep.
exactly. So I remember getting in the car afterwards. Obviously we sat with it for a little bit, and then I got in the car and drove back to meet up with my wife and kids and our nanny at the time. And I'm like going back, I'm like, that was awful. Like I was vomiting. Like my first like initial intake past the like division part, I'm like, I just threw up. And I feel like I just purged some toxins. I detoxed. I had a headache for a minute, had to rehydrate. And I went to Megan. I'm like, I'm never going to do combo again. No way, no how. And then I remember getting in the car after I got to the spot that we were at, and I'm driving, and Megan's with me, and she's like, why are you driving so slow? I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, you're driving like at the speed limit, if that. And usually I'm like a 5 mile an hour, 10 mile an hour over just to get there. And I'm like, well, I'm in no rush. She's like, what? And I'm just like super calm, and I'm looking around, taking in the mountains, the scenery, and everything around me. I'm like, that's like, it's really nice. Like just a massive appreciation for everything. I'm like, what the hell was in that combo? Like, what? And I'm like, Megan, I think I'm going to do that again. And she's like, you just bitched about it. I'm like, yeah, but like now that I have a chance to get past like the physical, because the physical just hits the conscious mind, or like it makes me mad because I vomited and I haven't vomited in a while. But I'm like, but the spiritual and the physiological change that took place after just one combo session, I'm like, I'm doing it again. And the
Yeah.
hardest part about that was figuring out when you were coming back up to Sedona so we could
Yeah,
coordinate the schedule.
for
But I mean,
sure.
combo is super powerful. And the second time I did the
Yeah.
combo purge with you guys, we went to that awesome little
The
little
dome.
house. Yeah, the dome. We went to the dome to do the Bufo. That was awesome. And just like a back-to-back experience. And it was amazing. So like obviously we talked about the Bufo side of things. We talked about the combo. We touched on a little bit of the breath work as well. So like what all services do you offer? What all are you able to give to others? Like what is it that you can give and do for others?
Yeah. So our primary offerings are transformational retreats, so 5-day retreats, and some with medicine, some without. Whenever we do serve medicine, we do it under a religious organization, so that everything that we do is sacrament. And so, in Canada and Mexico, these things are legal. In the United States, you got to sign some papers and give them some money in order to really do anything.
Go figure.
Yeah, go for of course, right? But, the main things that I offer are the retreats, the 5-day retreats in Sedona, Grace Grove. They're beautiful, very powerful, and we really focus now on primarily embodiment. So teaching people, bringing people through a transformational process with yoga, breath work, meditation, qigong, some earth medicines, ecstatic dance, vocal awakenings, sing along, kirtan, just embodiment workshops, connection workshops, a lot of stuff that's really just designed, and then hiking in the Red Rocks, of course. So it's really just designed to be like this vacation that is deeply spiritually profound and deeply healing. Everything from the food, we do gluten-free, dairy-free, vegan, nutritious, delicious meals that are really filling, the connection. So when people get to connect with one another in that container is super beautiful. The nature, just Grace Grove by itself, like that's probably what you were feeling, man. The combo, and then honestly, just the vibe of Grace Grove is what you were taking away and feeling super
Yeah,
relaxed from. People can come float the creek, just connect with nature, and then connect deeply with themselves. Like I say, funnily, it's if funnily is a word, I say
it is now.
jokingly, I should say.
Yeah.
um, that our job is to indoctrinate people into their own unique truth. So usually people leave our retreats feeling really empowered and really relaxed and really present, and feeling really good. And so we also have a community that we stay kind of tight knit, whether it's just the retreat guests of that retreat or the entire Connect and Evolve community. So we stay tight knit. And this allows for everybody to really integrate their process properly and to really drop into and hold one another accountable and really drop into that true nature and that purpose. And so the retreats are very, very powerful. They're our top offering for sure. And then
Yeah.
there's a breathwork facilitator training that I just started not long
Yeah.
ago.
Saw that.
Started teaching people dynamic and sonic neural breathwork, how to teach those modalities, and really teach people an integrated understanding of breathwork. So a lot of the trainings I've been to, I feel like it was left out. Really, the understanding of breathwork and how it works with the nervous system and how it works with me. Right? It's just like you go for a
Sure.
week, you train, you learn something new, and you're supposed to go teach it. Like I find that that's not a really good model.
Yeah.
Right. And so a lot of people that work with me have only done breath work a handful of times. And then a lot of them also already do my breath work. So the first 3 weeks of the 6 week program is you going through the Breathwork Academy, learning all these different styles of breath work, the pillars of breath work, how it works with the nervous system, what breath work practice to apply to who whenever you're coaching a client. And
Mhm.
then you learn how to facilitate dynamic and sonic neural breath work, which are two most powerful styles of breath work that I've built off of
Mhm.
shamanic, holotropic, transformational, and then Wim Hof. Um,
Yeah.
so the one's an optimization breath work for a daily optimization in the morning, and then one's really transformational. So it can bring you into a deeply psychedelic experience. It can help to resolve trauma with the proper integration process afterward. This is
Sure.
very powerful, and so that's another really big offering from us, and one that's been really really beautiful, and I think is really important as we move into this new Earth paradigm. Like we need more boots on the ground and more new Earth keepers, and the
Yeah.
breath work is such a beautiful tool to be able to harness and share with the world. And so that's why I started the breathwork facilitation trainings.
Yeah.
And then if people want to work one-on-one with me, I do quantum coaching, which I call quantum coaching because it's a cool word and it makes me sound really legit, but also because we go deep into body, mind, and spirit. And so, a lot of people do coaching. So if you and I did a coaching call, then I'd say, "Hey, Jack, you're doing great, man. Don't forget to write down in your journal everything that you're manifesting." Blah blah blah,
Right.
which we do. But also, my partner is a certified health coach,
Mhm.
and she's a nutritionist, and so she builds out a supplement plan and a grocery swap. Can't really say diet, but a grocery swap. So getting people away from shit like inorganic coffee, caffeine,
Yeah.
into more cacao, organic foods, less dairy, less gluten, more nutritious whole foods, and then a
Right.
supplement protocol that's really going to help to enhance and optimize them. And then once they're optimized, then we do the coaching, because if you
Sure.
change the inputs, the outputs change. So if
Sure.
you're working with me and you're glutened out and you're got brain fog and fatigue all day long and you're smashing cups of coffee and you've got a caffeine crash, then our coaching calls aren't going to be really, they're not going to stick, right? You're not
Sure.
going to be in a place to even do these things that I'm going to ask you to do. So it's an optimization and coaching program, and so we offer that on a 6 week basis so people can do that program as well. And then if people want to just do healing sessions with me, then that's really in flow. I didn't expect to serve medicine and to do all this. And so I work with people where they're at. And, for me, the retreats, the trainings, the coaching, all of that, that's kind of my business. It's my dharma, it's my business. But everything else outside of that's lanya, as we say in Louisiana. So it's people can do anything with me that they want to do, whether it's just a healing session, hypnosis. I'm trained in hypnosis, NLP, breathwork, meditation, qigong, yoga. I'm trauma informed. So there's a whole host of things that we can do, and I like to really cater and build it to the individual, whether you're a professional athlete or you're a stay-at-home mom. Right. My professional athletes, I love them because you really get to see results really powerfully and really quickly. Right. The stay-at-home mom maybe takes a little bit
A minute
longer,
or two. Yeah.
but the beautiful thing is the stay-at-home mom is just as excited about it as the professional athlete. And so, yeah, it just depends. But those are our primary offerings. I'd say the retreats, the trainings, and the coaching programs.
Yeah, I'd say one of the things that, in my opinion, makes you more unique is, obviously being in, Northwest Phoenix. I know people in Scottsdale, all throughout Phoenix, and there's a lot of medicine carriers out there that are, in my opinion, like fad carriers. Like they just want to hitch their wagon to something and act like they have a purpose, but they're not, like you said, like they took a weekend course and then they feel like they're able to take up and hold the space for others. And I even know somebody that I work with, actually, she wanted to do a breathwork session. I'm trying to get her to come out to see you. She's trying to get to Sedona at some point, but she wanted to do a session with you to basically work with you. And she does some client work with some other people, and they did a breathwork session. And she shot me a message like right afterwards, and she was like, "Jacque, I was laying by a fire and I was freezing cold, and this happened and that happened. Was that supposed to happen? And I don't know, like, what am I supposed to do with this? And I feel that." I'm like, who's doing your breathwork session? And she was like, "Oh, it was so and so. There's a part of my group." I'm like, why the hell didn't she tell you any of the stuff to expect? Like it's okay to say expect nothing, but like here's some things that can happen, and if they do happen, here's things to digest and integrate what you actually are going through. So that's something that really sets you apart, is that you're insanely thorough, just like I am from like the functional standpoint. Like you're just as thorough on your end. So you give the information, you have the science. If people need the science, it's there. Or if they have questions, you feel them, you answer them, and you help people to make the right decisions on how to integrate what it is that they need in their life.
Sure. I appreciate you saying that, man. Yeah, and there's two things I want to touch on that. One is, I'm more thorough with some people, especially with the medicine work. Sometimes I have warriors and brothers come in, and I feel very competent in helping somebody to integrate an experience, and I have a team of integration specialists. So if a warrior and a brother comes in, oftentimes I won't even tell them what I'm giving them. Oftentimes I'll just say, "Hey, are you ready?" And I'll feel intuitively if they're ready, and then we'll work from there. And it's never failed, right? But most of the time, I do my best to try to say, what would a medical doctor, like a naturopathic doctor, right?
Yeah.
Not a
Yeah.
let's not get into that, but
Yeah.
what would a legitimate professional health professional do
Practitioner.
in this
Yeah.
moment? Practitioner, yes. And so because one, I was I was I was introduced to this whole thing without that element. I was introduced by, somebody saying, "All right, you ready?" Psh, okay, boom, the craziest experience you could possibly have as a fucking human being. All right, have a good one. See ya. Peace. And they were just doing the best they could at the time. But,
Sure.
for me, that taught me, right? Again, just like Louisiana, it taught me how not to approach something and how not to facilitate something. It taught me on how to really do things with in a certain way. And I think it's the issue primarily with these medicine carriers is that they are not focusing, like you said, they're hopping on a fad, but they're not focusing on the container, right? They're not focusing on how is this going to be integratable for my client, and how am I going to be able to make them feel safe before they go into their experience.
Right.
And this is something that's extremely important, is set and setting, right? I can serve you 5 Mio at a party, right, with a bunch of people, and you're drunk, and it's going to be the worst experience you've ever had in your entire life, right? It might fuck you up forever. It might give you serious trauma.
Yeah.
But if you come into a magical dome of miracles, right, and we create a beautiful portal as an altar, there's a prayer, and then afterward we sit, eat fruit, talk about the experience, and then stay in contact for weeks after, for months after, then you're going to have a complete experience. The problem with people, and the issue with plant medicine today, and now breath work and all these other people that are carrying medicine, which so many are doing it properly, but the people who are not educated in the space of integration and preparation and set and setting and creating a safe container. And it's creating a lot of trauma, and it's creating more work for people like you and I. So I guess it's not so bad for us, but it for the planet. We need everybody to really get cross their T's and dot their I's before going all out and beginning to call themselves a facilitator. Like, I had to do this, you had to do this. So it's really important in a message that I want to send to everybody that's considering serving plant medicine or teaching breath work, or what have you, is be sure to be sure to make yourself available energetically and know how to make yourself available for those who are going to need you afterward, and make sure you know all the safety precautions, because that's first and foremost.
Yeah.
If you have those two things, then ultimately, if somebody has a bad experience, you'll be able to nurture them through and to heal anything that maybe took place that was not necessary. So
Yeah.
yeah, long rant.
Perfect. So how can they reach you? Now that we talked about this and all that you offer, how do they reach you now, Ben?
Yes. So connectandevolve.com is my website. And then I have a contact form right there. I have a bunch of material on there, breathwork, a bunch of different breathwork flows. There's a bunch of free stuff on there. The expansion packet, breathwork flows, guided meditations. There's so much on there. But reach out to me directly. Go down to the contact form at the bottom of the main page, and shoot me a message and tell me what you're interested in, and we can hook it up. And I want to give a special deal to everybody listening to this podcast. If you just mention the podcast, the Doc Jacque Show, then I will give you like, I don't know the amounts of money, but I will give you a discount on a retreat or a training, whatever you end up doing. And just mention that you heard me on the podcast, and we'll hook you up with a sweet deal.
Awesome. I appreciate that, man. And
Yeah,
again,
man,
I
of
appreciate
course.
you facilitating with me and sitting through this podcast and all the technical errors that we had with Zoom not liking apparently what we were talking about.
Of course it doesn't. It's
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah. It is what it is.
You know,
So
we can expect to find challenges as we move forward in a world that is under mass hypnosis, and the powers, the reason why the darkness is so strong and putting the squeeze on all of us is because the light's so damn bright. And so just remember that, as light, one little match lights up an entire dark room, and we have to continue to consistently strike ourselves and light ourselves back up no matter what. And this whole COVID thing, all this shit's going to come to an end sooner or later, and we're going to go back to normal, or new normal,
mhm.
which is going to be a better normal
Yeah.
with more disclosure, and we're going to have more understanding of life and purpose and community and tribe. And so, this is all just a moment in time. And so keep shining your light, guys, and make sure that you're taking the time to love yourself and do self-love practices, and tending to the garden you can touch, taking care of your friends and family. Turn off the fucking news. Love you.
There you go. Perfect. Thank you, man.
Thank you, brother.